Good evening and a very, very warm welcome to you wherever you may be. You are tuning into the Football Fan Zone, and it's all about you, the fan, the football fan. And gosh, we've got a lot happening, and as is the case every week, not a lot happening. My name is Tonci Prusak. I'm one of your co-hosts for tonight. The other one is, well, it looks like Melbourne is in lockdown, and it looks like Point Cook's internet is also in lockdown. And unfortunately, we seem to have lost Craig Filer before we have even started. But hopefully, we're going to get him on very, very shortly. In fact, I think he's joining us as we speak. And welcome to the program, Mr. Filer. How you doing, mate?
I'm well, Tonch. Apart from this bloody internet that seems to go down around 6:50 every Thursday and Sunday evening, maybe.
Yeah, isn't it a shocker? Like, I mean, it was all fine. We've been on in the background. We've been in the background for what, almost an hour. It went fine. 10 minutes before airtime, guess what? It just goes absolutely crazy, goes nuts. Mate, how you been? How is life, as they say, on the inside? Hello? He's frozen. I'm not sure
what we can do to resolve it apart from bomb the place. I'm sure that'll sort.
Yeah. Look, if you're tuning in tonight, it is quite a as far as football is concerned, it is quite a, I suppose, a demoralising time, as is the case with everything in Victoria at the moment. Some parts of regional Victoria, for the first time this weekend, we're able to see some football action. So to all those people tuning in through the Geelong Region Soccer Show, really enjoy every moment, every single second of football as you can, because hearts go out to all the people in all of the lockdown areas. Hopefully this trauma, this terror finishes, the sooner the better. But anyway, what we are going to be doing each week is trying to at least provide a little bit of entertainment, a little bit of something to take away the doom and gloom. So we're going to be every Sunday night continuing with the Football Fan Zone. We on Thursday night from 7 p.m. we'll be continuing with the Football Out West show, and then every Monday night as well, the Geelong Region Soccer Show at 7 p.m. Easy to remember, 7 p.m. each time. Craig has organised a little bit of a poll earlier tonight. So that poll is running on our Football Out West fan news page. Well, we've already got about 231 votes the last time we counted. Please jump on. Please get involved. We got heaps and heaps of votes there. 239, actually. So at the moment, and we're asking you, should Football Victoria cancel all football activities in Victoria and concentrate on getting the structure ready for the 2021 season? Well, we've got 239 votes. It's been going for a little over an hour and a half, and the overwhelming majority is saying 72% yes, 28% no. 72% yes, 28% no. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Should Football Victoria cancel all football activities in Victoria and concentrate on getting the structure ready for the 2021 season? Now, Craig, are you there? No, we've lost Craig yet again. He's going to try and get back on. Now, we've got quite a fair few comments there. So whilst we wait for Craig to get back on, we're going to go through some of those comments that people have put on the actual page. And we'll quickly go through that. Vasco Yosifovsky, very hard-hitting post, Vasco. Football Victoria are worse than the virus. They all need to stand down. Get rid of the corruption in there, and there's no need to have 7 federations in one country. So says Vasco. Christopher Cruz, who's also one of our members, one of our silver VIP, silver members, He says, Christopher Cruz, unfortunately, yes, let's be honest. Even when we get out of lockdown in mid-August, it will be minimum 1 month until games can begin. That's mid to late September. Just return everyone's fees, take the pressure off clubs, and concentrate on 2021. Now, folks, we still haven't got Craig back on. He's going to try and come back on as quickly as possible. Cheerio out to all of the people joining us via the Football Out West News Facebook page. Also, simulcast on the Geelong Region Soccer News Facebook page as well. Down in Geelong, big cheerio to all the people, all the youngsters who started off their 2020 season, albeit in a belated way, during the course of this weekend. A lot of junior games played today. A lot of junior games played yesterday as well, down Geelong way. So if your team was involved, if you were involved, text us on 0497 151 234. It is a talkback show tonight, but unfortunately all the talkback calls go through Craig, and Craig is at the moment unable to get a hold of, or we're unable to get a hold of him. So look, in the meantime, do make sure that you add to the comment section, and we'll try and read through all of your comments. Now, John, getting back to the poll early that was there earlier today, 239 votes, 72% yes. Football Victoria should cancel all football activities in Victoria and concentrate on getting the structure ready for the 2021 season. However, 28% are saying no, that is not the case. Now, John Sultana says cancel all senior comps. If everything works out, junior comps can start September 6th, run through to October 25th. JNPL, that's the NPL juniors, keep playing teams in their current league. Community teams can get about 10 games with a couple of double-header weekends towards the middle of October. No finals, just get as many games into the kids as possible. NPL trials can start after the Melbourne Cup weekend. Says Michael Lockie. Josip Zilic down Geelong way. He says no reason the regional areas can't continue, but Metro is unfortunately way too impacted. If things ease up, have some gala days between clubs for some healthy social interactions. What I'm going to suggest until we can get Craig back on the line is call the following number, 0402 012 716, 0402 012 716, and we'll get you on the air as possible. Okay, call 0402 012 716. Josip Zilic, who just left a message on the poll, has also left a message, and he's saying, is Craig missing? Tell him to press the power button. Goodness me. Well, if we can get a call coming through on 0402 012 716. We've got Craig. Looks like he's back on deck. Craig is... Hello? I thought we had Craig, but unfortunately we don't have Craig. Okay. He will hopefully get back very, very shortly. In the meantime, we've got a couple more comments that are saying, Robert Kasha, down from the Surf Coast, he's saying in Melbourne, yes, but unaffected regional areas should be able to play and train. As someone who was involved in junior coaching earlier this morning, can I just say you do not know what you've got until you've lost it. And hopefully Craig is back on. And it is just the most, it was just, Craig, you're back. Hello? Hopefully Craig can hear us. It was just for the kids' sake, the coach's sake, the parents' sake, it's just great to be back out there. And look, if at least some parts of the state or some parts of, if parts of Melbourne don't go into lockdown, then hopefully we'll be able to, just something is better than nothing at the moment. I think that is the case. Try and give us a call on 0402 012 716 if you'd like to be a part of tonight's show. We'd love to hear from you. At the moment, unfortunately, we just cannot get Craig, which is a real shame. We would love to hear from you today. What do you think? What's happening down your neck of the woods? Were you involved in any junior football action over the weekend, whether it was in Ballarat, in Geelong, in Bendigo, wherever the case may be? It's we want to know. We want to hear from you. We've even got a few interstate callers. Jesse Mays, he's all the way up in Brisbane. Jesse, give us a ring. Tell us what is going on up in Brisbane ahead of the A-League return. Craig, are you back with us? Hello? Hello? No. We've lost him, and unfortunately we keep losing him. Okay, back to the poll question. So on our page, the Football Out West Soccer News Facebook page, should Football Victoria cancel all football activities in Victoria and concentrate on getting the structure ready? 72% have said yes. 28% have said no. We've got some more comments coming through with regards to that. Kevin Thuma says, I agree they should, but they won't. Juniors will play so they get their cash. Oh, another one. Very, very hard-hitting and opinionated about Football Victoria. We love that. Andrew Perchin says, Kevin, I know this year has been horrid, but even if we get an 8-round season, so important for the boys and girls to play if they can. Any less than 8, though, and I reckon it's probably not worth it. Kevin Thuma agrees with Andrew. He says, I agree, but I think why don't clubs run a skills program over the summer with gala days from November so clubs can generate some cash? Kevin, great idea. I think all clubs should do that. I think all clubs should absolutely run some sort of skills program, in-house program, mini tournaments, whether it be within the club itself or whether it be with neighbouring clubs. I think the clubs really absolutely need to take a lead on this and get involved in some way or another. Would be good for the kids' development if the coach is not focused on winning. Absolutely. And I think there's no reason why that couldn't happen all year round. And in fact, there may be situations now where clubs will find these new normal. What does that mean? They may hold off-season summertime camps. They might organise SAP programs, skills, what do they call it? Skills acquisition programs. Fantastic, absolutely. You know, it's such a Kevin. It's such a voodoo word to use the term academies. So many clubs just hate academies. The word academies, but it is a good example of why can't now clubs form their own quasi academy style setup. This is up to the clubs. There's no reason why they can't do that. We've got a lot of comments coming on both in with the poll, but also we've also got heaps of questions, statements coming up through with the various on our feed as well. Michael Ong, Tonci, which Western United poppy shirt you have there? That was actually, that shirt there was donated by Western United. So big cheerio out to Western United, who said, you know, here's a shirt, please advertise it, I suppose, cap as well. So, you know, we're going to be quite patriotic and support the West. There's no doubt about that. We'll do as much as we can. We'll do as much as we can to support all the local area football. Maxi Santich, Tonci, any news on where the Victorian A-League clubs are looking to set themselves up? Well, last I heard, if anyone can correct me, that was in Sydney, and I believe it's in the western suburbs of Sydney. I think they're going to be using Marconi Stadium, and I do believe Blacktown Stadium or Parklea, one of those venues, as a training base. They are in 14 days quarantine, I believe, Maxi. So they obviously cannot play any of their games, and that the game that was supposed to kick off or restart the A-League season this Thursday between Western United and Melbourne Victory obviously is not going to be going ahead, unfortunately, but that will be played at a later date. Chris Briffa says, let's bring that comment, play a 6 to 8 week season for juniors. Don't charge fees just to get kids into the sport. Does that also mean for clubs not to charge fees, Chris? I don't know how that would work because a lot of clubs have already ordered tops. They've also had to obviously pay, things like council grounds and things like that. So will the councils allow them free access? Will the apparel companies also give the apparel for free? I don't think that will happen. It would be good, though. I'll definitely agree with you on that one. Ahmed Idris says senior local comps should have started the same time as local junior comps to allow for more game, especially if regional areas not as affected. 9-round competition is a joke. Good point, Ahmed. And I still do not understand why seniors and juniors have a different set of rules. I can understand the social distancing and what you're not. But look, at the end of the day, I think majority of particularly local league, I know down in Geelong, the local regional league, they get probably 3 or 4 spectators. And that's maybe, a couple of fathers or mothers of some of the players, and that's about it. I think the juniors get a lot more of a crowd, but a good point in there from there. Anthony Casa says, you know what? That's a great idea, Briff. Good way to get numbers up for next season. Massimiliano Minutoli, I hope I've said that correctly. Players need to play September to December. Training every day by self with the dream to play soon. Now, that's a great post, Massimiliano. The dream to play soon. I think what that provides, the hope that, sooner or later we're going to get, something happening. Absolutely. Now, Brenton from Lara has just sent me a message. He says, I've got 2 major updates on air to mention on tonight's show. The first one from Football Victoria in relation to the 2020 season, and also second one with the latest drama from Spain. Well, Brenton, if you're around, give us a buzz and let us know what it is that you have got groundbreaking. The Rayman from Hoppers Crossing, he's got all the information. Kevin Thuma, once again, he's been rather active. Great to see Kevin active on the comments thread. He says, with the juniors, those who don't have grounds over summer can share grounds. Absolutely. Brilliant idea. Ground rationalisation. That's why FFV asked the question when they sent out a survey a couple of months ago. Absolutely. Spot on, Kevin. Makes a whole lot of sense, that one. Chris Briffer, I think in answer to his suggestion, hard one, state government or council should come in and foot the bill. Absolutely, Chris. Totally agree there. I think it's not because of Football Victoria. I guess it's not because of the clubs themselves that we find ourselves in this predicament. And I think if the council and the governments are really serious about all this business that they talk about, getting things back to normal, mental health, all of that kind of stuff. And they've said it time and time again, the sports clubs and particularly the junior sports clubs are at the absolute forefront of getting society back to normal. Okay, Craig, we've got Craig, and Craig is joining us for the first time tonight. How are you, my friend? Switch your microphone on. Hello? In the meantime, Chris is saying, just to promote a healthy society. Absolutely, Chris. Couldn't agree with you anymore. Couldn't agree with you anymore, as Craig still try and get a hold of Craig. Hello, Craig. Hello. Hello. No, just no connection. We just cannot seem to get Craig. For whatever reason, we just cannot seem to get Craig. Join us every Thursday night for the Football Out West show. This streamed from 7 p.m. Hopefully, we'll be able to get some. Hopefully, we'll try and get Craig happening. But at the moment, we're not having too much luck. We might have to try and get him on the speaker. Hello, Craig. How are you? We had him there for a second and he's gone all of a sudden. We're really having a nightmare here, folks, unfortunately. What we're going to have to do is we're going to have to take a quick break. When we return, it'll be a sponsors break. When we return, hopefully we'll have some news for you. Okay, don't go away. You're tuning into the Football Fan Zone. Have you got a business and you want to promote your brand to a ready-made audience? Have you got a birthday coming up in the family and would like to send that someone special a special message? Then why not consider a sponsorship on the Football Out West show? With an ever-growing audience right across Melbourne's western suburbs and the surrounding regions of Wyndham, Melton, Geelong, and even as far as Ballarat, your business or that special person in your life could become a household name. More importantly, you will be armed with the knowledge you are being part of a football show that is fast becoming a movement and a catalyst for great change in our wonderful game locally. The revolution is here and we want you to jump on board and be a part of it. Welcome back to the Football Fan Zone, and you're joined by Tonci Prusak, one of the co-hosts of tonight's show. Hopefully we're going to have our next co-host joining us very, very shortly. Hold our breath, because we hope that we're going to get him now very, very shortly. Craig, are you there?
I am.
Oh, finally we've got you. Thank goodness for that. Mate,
unbelievable.
Welcome to the show. It's been one disaster after another, hasn't it? Far out.
It's been a nightmare tonight. I'm not sure what's been going on. Obviously, the signal's particularly poor again in Point Cook, even though they've just spent, God knows how many million putting a 5G tower no less than 200 meters from my house. So it really annoys me that we're not getting a signal. So do apologize to everybody.
As I think it was Anthony Casa said, and I'm going to put that comment up. Absolutely. Craig would probably be better hot spotting off his phone. Well, if they've put a 5G tower in, maybe that might be the way to go. But anyway, mate, look, we've been talking about the poll. Absolutely fantastic. We've got over 240 at last count. I think it was over 240 votes. Majority of them are saying, 72% in fact are saying that Football Victoria should just cut it, just absolutely shut up shop and start planning for next year. Problem is though, they're already shutting up shop. From what I hear, they've been forced to lay a majority of their staff back down to like 1 day a week. If they're on JobKeeper, which supposedly runs out until September or goes until September. What after that? If we don't have any competitions, true, like a few people have been saying, I think Kevin Thumer and Vasco, I can't remember his name. They were very, very hard hitting and saying, look, we should not. They should refund everything and all of that kind of stuff. But the reality is. Football Victoria will collapse. They're going to fall apart. We won't have any governing body. We won't have a competition. We won't have anyone to run the sport. And the clubs will have to basically, I don't know what would happen in that situation.
Look, I think they're damned if they do, damned if they don't, Tonch. We've said it on a number of occasions on the show. I feel for them. I know it's difficult and everybody's of the mindset that we can blame the Football Federation for lots of stuff. I don't think we can blame Football Federation for what's happened over the last 6 months. As Will Hasty said and Peter Philopoulos, when they both came on the show, that they actually want to get football played. Unfortunately for them, the government's put a kibosh on that very, very quickly and stopped everything. So when people ask for their funds back, I do get it in a time when people are losing their jobs and people are scraping for money in the current situation. But you have to remember that Football Federation has been doing its utmost behind the scenes to try and get football back to everybody. But unfortunately, it just hasn't happened. And I'm always very critical of governing bodies. I was the same when I was back in Wales. But I have to say on this occasion, I think they've been fantastic in what they've done. Yes, the communication at times could have been better, and we discussed that with Will the other week. But I don't think they can be blamed for what's happened, and I certainly believe that they've tried their very best to get football played. Unfortunately, the second wave, which everybody knew was going to come, has come with a bang, and it's caused massive problems. So, what do they do? Look, 74% of those that have voted tonight, the 270 people, 74 have said, "Yeah, scrap the league."
Brenton, just hold on.
So, what do you do? Like I said, they're damned if they do, damned if they don't. I believe they've done a fairly good job of trying to get football back on the field, but it just hasn't happened.
Now, we have got Brenton on the line. Brenton from Lara. Brenton, are you there?
Yes, I am, Tonci.
Excellent, mate. Well, he's a regular. Brenton's a regular. We often have Brenton on this show. So he's the man with the scoop. He always has all the information. Brenton, now you've got 2 scoops for us tonight. Buddy, what have you got for us?
2020 FB season update. I have it on a very good authority that the 2020 season is set to be cancelled. The senior competition, NPL and State League, possibly by Monday, tomorrow, according to Football Victoria CEO Peter Filippinos yesterday, except Football Victoria may introduce some type of competitions over spring and summer, but they will try and run juniors, and including NPL junior boys and girls, as soon as they are permitted to by Football Victoria. They will send an update by tomorrow at the latest.
Okay, so that's you've got that on good authority, or is that just a tip at the moment?
Very good authority.
Okay, so let's repeat that. So this is what Brenton is telling us that he's been told, or he's been made privy to this information. The 2020 season, so the senior season, the NPL, the state leagues, is set to be cancelled possibly by tomorrow. Football Victoria will try and run the juniors as soon as the lockdown ends, and Football Victoria will try and get some form of competition happening over the summer months as far as the seniors. Is that correct, Brenton?
Sometimes spring and summer competition.
Spring and summer competition, possibly some form of maybe a Lightning Premiership, maybe a tournament, maybe a Champions League style tournament. I highly doubt it would be a home and away competition, home and away season. Rather, maybe that throws an interesting possibility. Would it be run like a kind of like a mini, I don't know, Champions League World Cup style format where, you might have 3 or 4 clubs playing out of the one ground, using our sponsor, for example, Craig, George Cross Soccer Club. They might play host to 4 or 5 clubs in a round robin format, and the winner progresses to the next round or something like that. Could you see something like that happening, Craig? We've lost Craig. We've lost him again. Goodness me. Brenton, what else have you been hearing?
The major drama in the Copa del Rey situation.
In Spain.
Correct.
What's happening there? What have you heard that's happening in Spain?
The presidents of Real Sociedad and Athletic Bilbao, the 2 finalists in the Copa del Rey,
yep,
have already met with President of the Royal Spanish Football Federation on May 4th.
Yep.
And agreed to ask the RFEF, the Royal Spanish Football Federation, for the final to be played not behind closed doors, on a date to be confirmed, and already agreed between the 3 parties involved. The desire and will of both clubs has always been now and before to play and enjoy the final along with the supporters. This is what we like, the final to be played with the supporters in the stands. At the same time, Real Sociedad Athletic Bilbao want the Royal Spanish Football Federation to guarantee that the final will be played as an official competition and will therefore be considered as an official title. With this decision, Real Sociedad and Athletic Bilbao wish to highlight one of the most prestigious traditional sporting events that can be played around the world, unique in this edition, and to do so together with their fans, supporters, members and partners, subscribers, the true essence and the raison of this wonderful sport. However, the European Football Governing Body notified all European football federations on Thursday, April 23, that in case domestic competitions are not complete, in order to draw up the list of teams that will access the Europa League and Champions League next season.
All right. Well, we'll just stop it. We'll just stop it there, Brenton. We'll stop it there. We might be going on all night about that. Interesting stuff there. Interesting stuff. So that in Spain they want to play the final not behind closed doors. That's quite interesting, mate. That's pretty interesting. What you're talking about there, Brenton. Hopefully we'll have some news tomorrow. And we'll be able to we'll be able to confirm or those let's call them news tips. Yeah, shall we call them news tips, because that is quite interesting. The 2020 Victorian senior season set to be cancelled possibly by tomorrow. Watch this space. Brenton, thanks very much for talking to us. And how are you handling all of this craziness?
Actually, not too bad, surprisingly.
Good on you, mate. Good on you. But that's probably because you're in Lara, so you've still got a little bit of freedom.
Not really. Still haven't returned back to work yet.
Nah, bummer. Yeah, not good. And that's the thing. People are going on about, some of the regional areas have got that freedom. But to be honest, not really, because a lot of people do work in Melbourne. A lot of people have got businesses, for example, or business partners or interests in Melbourne. They can't go there. Obviously, teams that are based in Ballarat, in Geelong, cannot play games in Melbourne. There are teams in Geelong that cannot train because they've got players coming up from Melbourne. So it is definitely a messy situation at the moment. And, mate, I hope for all of our sakes, things will return back to normal ASAP. Thanks, Brenton. Thanks for contacting us. Now, Craig, how are you? Are you able to talk? Are we able to get you?
Yeah, I'm here. I can hear everything everybody's saying. So hopefully you can hear me and it's audible.
Yeah, that's fantastic. That's the best that you've
seen.
Just
going back to I suppose the first point there that Brenton made about the season and possibly a spring-summer tournament. I don't think it's realistic at all. I think, it's as much as, like I said, as much as they want to play, they're governed by what's going to happen with the government. So if Daniel Andrews and his wisdom decide on that nothing's going to happen and everybody's going to be remain in lockdown, you have to remember, guys, that we're going to be in this lockdown till second week in August. Okay, then we're going to have a month of pre-season again. So we're going to be into the middle of September. When's the season going to take place? Let's be realistic on what we. Let's be realistic on what we want and what reality is. The reality is we're probably not going to get football in as much as we want it, and I think it's now time for us all to understand that. We all want to play some kind of football, whether it's a tournament, whether it's a little fun, whatever. The reality is I don't think we're going to. And it's a shame. Look, I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm on, Tonci, but I just can't see us playing any football. It's gone too far now. And you have to remember that the AFL cancelled their whole season just a few weeks ago in the regional side, because they knew that there wasn't going to be any sport available for them. So we're hanging on to dear life, thinking there's going to be football when.
But that's Craig. That's a good point you bring up, and I'd like to discuss that actually. The AFL. You see, I think regionally speaking, outside of the AFL, Australian Football League, which is obviously still going, in Victoria, all the different associations, they unilaterally made that decision. So it wasn't one blanket, okay, all leagues in Victoria are going to be canned. No, it was the Northwestern Metropolitan League. Then it was the Geelong Region Football League. Then it was the Southeastern, the Gippsland League. So they've all bit by bit, they've all gone and said, that's it, we're cancelling. So there wasn't with Football Victoria, in this particular case, because they administer so many metropolitan leagues, they've had to make this one decision, and it affects everyone. But in country Victoria, Ballarat League separate, the Bendigo League separate, the Sunraysia League separate, you name it, and all of that kind of stuff. I guess they ultimately can decide, or, as you said, rightly said, depending on what Dan Andrews and the rest of the government aficionados decide. I suppose that's the thing. They can decide to continue to play if their club so desire, or like the situation in Geelong is slightly different, isn't it? Because it's administered by Football Victoria, but it's administered separately from the metropolitan competitions. I suppose it can go. And I'd like to hear from people in Geelong. What Robert Casher,
Victoria are going to want to try and get some kind of football in. Like I say, when I say I think it's finished, I think it's finished for senior football.
Yeah.
I think that's done and dusted. It's just too hard now for them trying to get that back on track. And I think the NPL, State League football, I think, again, I hope I'm wrong, but I can't see it playing. I think they will try and play the juniors, though. I think that's something that...
Should they? Should they try and do that?
I suppose it comes back down to making sure that everybody can play and be healthy. That's what it comes down to. I think, all the questions that we ask and all the proposals and stuff that people put here and put on Facebook throughout the week, and we have to remember that they're hand-struck to a point, because they want to get football played, but the government's telling them they can't. So what can they do? I think the issue for me with junior football, there's probably going to be more parents watching that than they would be watching a senior game. In most instances, certainly when you get to perhaps State League 1 and the NPL, there's probably a few more, but the lower leagues, you're probably going to get, in most instances, one man and his dog at games. But should they play junior? Look, I think if they can, I think they should, for just for mental state more than anything else.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's been up, it's been down, it's been on, it's been off, it's been on again, it's been off again. I said it a couple of weeks ago. I'm over it now. If I'm absolutely honest, I gave my last training session last Wednesday down in Geelong. I'm now off for 6 weeks. I've lost interest, if I'm honest. I really couldn't care less whether we start or not now. I'd rather have a break and get everything in place for a bigger and better 2021.
What about clubs that want to play? I'd love to hear from people out there in clubland, clubs that really want to play, and they don't care if it's in summer or if they don't care if it's in winter. There's a good comment, if I can put it up here, if I can actually see it. No, I've lost it, but here we go. Vlad Jakic, he's another Geelong person, suggested, why not move the senior season to be played over spring and summer? Bring on summer football, I think. Now, Vlad, knowing him personally, he's not one that's going to be playing, but I think he'll be happily standing on the sidelines with a couple of cold beers on a nice hot day, watching these poor buggers running around in 35-degree heat. I'm all for it. I think it's a brilliant idea. No, but all jokes aside, I would love to hear from clubs that are desperate to play. Now, whether it's seniors, whether it's juniors, and clubs that have got football-specific facilities, would you be prepared? Would you be prepared to play some form of summer tournament or summer mini competition? I don't know. You've heard Craig, you've heard myself, you've heard some of the people that have commented, but I want to hear what people out there are thinking, So give us a ring. Call us now on 0497 151 234. That's 0497 151 234. We're going to bring that up on the screen now. Give us a call. We want to hear from you guys. It is a very polarizing topic, although, Craig, 74% are saying FV should cancel all football activities in Victoria and concentrate on getting the structure ready for the 2021 season. Only 26% are saying no. Where do you sit on that one?
Yeah, look, as I said, I think I've had my my say on this one. I think, from my opinion, it is my opinion. I think, we would be better off cancelling it, even starting the season a little bit earlier, maybe November, December, and having some tournaments then. But just leave it for now. We don't know where it's going to be. We can all get excited and say, let's have a summer league, and we all start. Football Federation put hours and hours into trying to get a summer league up and running for it all to fall on its ass again in October. So let's wait. Let's see where all this goes. We have no idea whether Geelong, Ballarat, Bendigo are going to be in lockdown in the next 2 weeks. So for me, it's let's park it. Understand that we're not going to play football for the foreseeable future. Let's see what happens in November, December. Maybe we have a pre-season tournament somewhere on some games. Have the break for Christmas, and then everybody's back into it in 2021, hopefully.
Yeah. Well, we've got a couple of comments. Jesse Mays, an old Geelong boy who is involved with Brisbane Roar in the A-League. He says, I think they need to sit and wait for this to be over. They shouldn't be planning for spring tournaments or summer tournaments. Just need to wait this out. Now, Vlad Jakic comes back with another interesting point, and I'd love to get your take on this, Craig, being a coach of juniors. Missing a year of football for developing junior players is tragic, says Vlad Jakic, and can set back those players. That's a good point. We've talked about the inconvenience and the cost and all of this, but the development for promising juniors or developing junior talent. Would 6 months or a year off football be detrimental for junior talent? Craig, over to you.
Absolutely, it does. You can train as much as you want, Tonch, but there's nothing like playing football to put those training drills and practices that you do into reality. There's going to be, of course there is. Players are going to. I wouldn't say they're going to go backwards, but they're not going to develop at the rate that coaches and clubs would expect. You have to remember, and I'll use my club as an example at North Geelong. We've been training since first week in November. We're now into July, and we've played 6 games of football. We're training 3 times a week, and it doesn't matter how many drills you put on and try and make it the sessions as real as they possibly can. They're not real until you get out on the football field. So are kids are they gonna develop? They're not. Will they lose anything? They will. They'll lose time on the field. We all talk about the period between of how many hours coaches get players onto a pitch. If I look at North Geelong, we train 3 nights a week for an hour and a half at a time. Okay, so 4.5 hours to 5 hours a week. You multiply that by 20 or 30 weeks, and it's a lot of hours on the football field that these guys could be developing their skills. Is it going to have an effect? Of course it is. Of course it is. But at the same time, we have to think about the health and well-being of everybody, regardless of whether we think it's got to be careful what I say here now, like whether it's a cold, a flu, or whether it's coronavirus. It's a difficult one, but certainly, as I said, from my standpoint, let's break. Let's cut it down. Let's wait until October, see what it looks like at the end of September. If there's some light at the end of the tunnel, then we can start thinking about getting back to football. But for the moment, let's just park it and everybody enjoy some time off, because rest assured, if things do get back to normal, there'll be football 24/7.
I think so. And you did say you're kind of over it. Well, another person that is over it is Robert Casher, who's the coach of Geelong Galaxy United, who this year was supposed to play in the new Victorian Metropolitan Women's League. What was it? I guess the bridging competition between State League One and NPLW. He says, over at Tonci, Prusak and Craig Filer, been training since November and no football. Players are mentally burnt out after the no contact came in, and I'm over no contact passing practices. Can't be stuffed for 2021 the way this is going. Can't be stuffed for 2021 the way this is going. I'm not sure if he's saying can't be stuffed now or just turn to 2021.
Yeah, I think Rob's over it as well, Tonch.
Yeah,
he's He's been training since November. And as I said, it's on 1 minute, off another. You when you get kids together and you say, look, we're going to be playing in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah.
They get themselves ready for it. They train harder. They work harder because they know this game's coming at the end of it and they want to be part of that starting 11. Then to be told on the Wednesday prior to the game that it's going to be cancelled, then get told that, it's okay because we might be back on again next week, to get told it's off. So the kids have lost interest. And it's hard because I know as a club, North Geelong Football Club want to get football played. They want kids on the park. They want to, but everybody's hand tied now, and it's a very, very difficult situation for everybody. But I suppose if you were to put another poll up tonight, Tonch, asking if everybody's over it, I bet your bottom dollar it'd be up in the high 90s.
Oh, absolutely.
Percentage have said yes, we are. So
yeah, look, absolutely, it really is depressing times. It really is tough times. And look, I'm not going to disagree that it isn't, and I'm not going to live in some la-la land and think that everything is fine and everything is going to be fine. It's almost like a parent, you're saying to your kids, everything's going to be fine, but on the inside, it's not going to be fine. Look, Craig, I totally agree, but I guess that whole point of, having hope. Now, if people are ready to walk away and have a break, absolutely fantastic. If that is the case, and if you need any help, the clubs now really need to step up and help, because all of these, mental health lines and what you're not, a lot of them, let's face it, there's not much they can actually do unless the person actually goes and picks up the phone and says, I've got a problem, and rings Lifeline. Or they ring up, Headspace or whatever the case may be. Our sports clubs are different. They've got membership bases, databases of their members. And I'm hearing this, Craig, this is already happening with a few clubs. I don't know if you've heard as well, mate, but there are clubs that are picking up the phone and they're contacting their coaches, they're contacting their players, they're contacting their members and just asking them, are you okay? Is there something that we can do? Now, a lot of these clubs might not be in a position to be able to help, but that simple phone call of picking up a club and saying, okay, it's Sydenham Park here, secretary or the volunteer officer, whatever. How are you going? Is everything fine? I think that mental health element is just so important because there's a lot of people that is going to really struggle. Struggle.
I hear today, Tonch, the club not too far from me had a under-13s guy positive for COVID, and all that team has been put into isolation for 14 days. So, that's a club that's on the up. And now they're having to go back and, I was speaking to a dad today and his son's 13 years old and he's locked in his bedroom. So what can you do? It's a situation that nobody has ever seen before. It's going to be a learning curve for everybody. But the most important thing is everybody stays safe. When we come out of it, the other side, stronger, and if it's 2021, it might not be 2021. It might be 2022. We have no idea. But let's prepare for when we can get back that we're bigger, better, and stronger than we are today.
Oh, we're looking forward to the A-League season. Maybe that's something that we need at the moment to take our mind off things. Because, look, I know for a lot of fans of European club football, the last 6 weeks have been an absolute godsend where we're able to, if nothing else, live for the weekends or live for the midweek games and just get up in the middle of the night and watch games. Is that the thing that's keeping us sane? I know the AFL was.
We're all looking forward to next Thursday's game, weren't we? But that's now being co-washed as well because they couldn't even get into New South Wales so again, that's a complete and utter shambles as well.
Let's talk about that. How the hell was it all left to the very, very last minute? And then it was just a scene out of the Benny Hill show that they just tried, got knocked back, tried a second time, got knocked back, and then had to go begging on their hands and knees to the New South Wales government to get an exemption. Now, I don't know. Is that the absolute?
It just shows you what. It just shows you the state of
I'm at a loss.
just shows you the state of Australia and the mindset of the Football Federation at the moment. And it's why there needs to be a big overhaul. We had AFL teams traveling, into Queensland or wherever it was on their camps. They managed to sort themselves out. But it took the three, Melbourne clubs until the very last minute to try and get in. And I know they were having tests. I know we're waiting for tests. But why did it take so long? Why did they wait till the last minute? I don't get it. And now they're in quarantine for 14 days.
Mm.
So it just, again, it doesn't make sense. It's it's baffling. It's baffling.
Unfortunately, there's not a lot of positivity happening out there. And how can you blame people? Robert Casher says, I've given the players a week off so they don't burn out. Chris Briffer says, guys, just go into recess like all other sports. Let's just wait until what the government's call is coming into the warmer months. Okay, it's an interesting one. Simon Camilleri, doom and gloom. Victoria is in code red. Of course, we've got a red government. We've got a communist government. The second wave is worse than the first in regards with positive cases. Absolutely true, Simon. I doubt that it will be okay this season and possibly the next. The behaviour of people in this state continue to breach the rules to reduce transmission. It's a joke, says Santino Marmone. He keeps it short and sharp and simple. And then Maxi Santich comes in with his own comment. Absolutely shambolic organisation by the A-League. The other codes are laughing. I don't care about the other codes. I just care about our code. And, yeah, it was absolutely shambolic, wasn't it, Craig?
Yeah, it is. And, somebody will be made accountable for that for sure, because it's as Maxi has said there, we're a laughing stock, and it doesn't get, they don't do themselves any justice. And now this is another example of, poor organisation from the governing body. So we'll leave it at that before anybody says anything that's going to get us into trouble, I think.
No, that's exactly right. Look, text us now on 0497 151 234. 0497 151 234. Do you guys want us to continue? We might be just talking over and over like a broken record player, talking about crap and utter rubbish. Or maybe you want to see Craig improve his internet connection so that we can come to you live every week.
I'm having to move house, Tom, so I can get a better internet connection. That's how bad it is.
I've heard of people moving houses so that they can be in a particular school zone. The Keilor Downs Secondary College, and they've got a really fantastic football program run there by Josip Lončarić, who we had on the program last year, and his co-worker there. I have heard of people actually moving so that they can be in that zone, so that their kids could actually go to that school. That's how famous that's footballing academy is. Now, Craig, you on the other hand move suburbs, move locations just so you can get a better internet reception. I've heard it all now, mate. I have. Yeah, something we really are in the third world here in Australia, are we not?
Yeah, come to Australia, they said. Yeah, great.
Now, Chris Briffer, thank you very much, Chris. I love you, mate. He says, great show. Keep doing as you are. Thank you, mate. That gives us a little bit of tonic to continue going on. Tonic, that's a name that I've been called many a time. Tonci, they just cannot get that name right. I don't know what it is with people, but the people say people are stupid because they don't listen to government regulations, or they're this or they're that, or they vote the wrong party. But people are silly because they can't get this 5-letter name down here right. But
let's have a change of tack now, and let's try and be a little bit more positive and a bit upbeat. Let's talk about the what's going on in football around the world, Ton. Shall we start off with what's happening down in the EPL?
Oh yeah, let's go. Let's talk about what's happening in the EPL, what's happening in the Championship as well. Interesting stuff happening. Obviously, Liverpool have won it, so there's no interest at the top. Having said that, Craig, plenty of interest in the fight for European spots and also at the other end of the ladder.
Yeah, well, let's talk about Burnley. Burnley, ending Liverpool's hopes of completing the season with a 100% Premier League record. thanks to a Jay Rodriguez strike in the first half, which was a hell of a strike, by the way. Burnley now have gone 5 games unbeaten since the return to the Premier League, 3 months before they lost the last game, which was 5-0 to Manchester City. A draw now leaves them in 9th position and are firmly in the mix for a place in the Europa League next year. They've come from nowhere and they've been on this fantastic run. He has his doubters, does the coach there for Burnley, but I tell you what, he gets them playing, and he's certainly got some kind of good morale and good squad going there.
Is any Burnley supporters out there? We want to hear from them. And listen to this, just quickly before you go on. Burnley, they're in 9th spot at the moment. Yeah. And look at the teams that are in 10th or 11th. Tottenham, Everton. That's incredible. Then they've got Newcastle now in 13th spot as well. Clubs that have got some pretty big money behind them. And Burnley are really, really doing exceptionally well.
They are, yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Manchester City, who have now confirmed 2nd place for the season after another fantastic win. They really are scoring goals for fun at the moment, and I know they lost last week to Southampton, but Raheem Sterling came up trumps this week yesterday with his 3rd hat-trick of the season. With Gabriel Jesus and Bernardo Silva netting the other 2 in a 5-0 convincing win against Brighton, which, if you haven't seen it, just have a look at Raheem Sterling 3rd goal, which was a comedy of errors with our Australian number 1 goalkeeper in the sticks for Brighton. If you haven't had a chance, get and have a look at it.
Now, Brenton Ray says the equaliser, just about the Burnley game, back to the Burnley game, and I'll pop that up there. The equaliser for Burnley was midway through the second half, not the first half, says Brenton Ray, the Ray man. Thank you, Brenton.
Thank you, Brenton. Sheffield United, what a season they've had, Tonch. Nobody gave them a chance when they got promoted from the Championship last year, but have been in that top 6 or 7 all year long. Continue to play good football, and Chris Wilder's got to be a coach that's on the radar of a lot of clubs. And I've heard rumours that if Mourinho doesn't stay at Tottenham throughout the summer, that Chris Wilder will be on the wanted list at Spurs, which will be a great move for them. But they're now into the top 6, and they thrashed Chelsea last night 3-0. I watched it today. Chelsea were awful. They were all over the shop. And now puts them just 4 points behind Manchester United, who are in that 5th position. So it's really hotting up there for that final Champions League place.
Very interesting indeed. Yeah. Now, speaking of the English clubs, we've had quite a fair few of the Matildas also making their way over to the old Dart. Lydia Williams joining Arsenal only just recently. Steph Catley also moved abroad. We've had a few of them playing in really good European leagues. We don't even need to talk about Sam Kerr moving to Chelsea and the like. But it's great to see if the Socceroos aren't able to forge a credible career in England, in Europe. At least the Matildas are doing it. Now, that must be a fantastic shot in the arm for Australia's chances for the 2023 World Cup, which obviously is going to be held here in Australia. And the more and more it seems, surely this coronavirus thing can't last for 3 years. But the more and more, I won't speak too quickly about that. But the more and more, as we're sort of progressing, that 2023 World Cup is just going to be the big saving grace, I think, for Australian football on the horizon. We talk about things giving us hope. The Matildas moving to high-profile European clubs. The importance of that surely cannot be underestimated, Craig.
No, absolutely not, Tonch. And Steph Catley obviously joining Arsenal, Sam Kerr playing for Chelsea, and obviously this week Lydia Williams has joined Arsenal as the goalkeeper. So Joe Montenegro is obviously pulling some strings over there as the Australian Arsenal head coach, and fair play to them. To play in the Premier League, whether it's men or women's, it's really where you want to be aiming if you want to be playing the best, and fair play to them. And it can only be good for Australian football generally. Whether we're not going to see obviously either of them playing in Australia for the next year or so. But again, we talk about development and we talk about players, and we want to push players as much as we can and push them into Europe. Here's another prime example of why would we keep our best talent here when there's opportunities abroad for them.
Yeah,
but only when the time's right, and obviously the time's right for both of those. What's Steph Catley's 27, I think she is now. The time's right for them to go. Fair play to them. Go and test yourself against the best in the world.
And they're going, and they should go in their prime, and that will almost ensure that they'll go to a better club rather than languishing in second divisions or third divisions of obscure leagues. They're going to high-profile leagues and high-profile clubs where they're going to better their own football. Now, you've heard it here first on the Football Fan Zone. Chris Briffer has labelled the Matildas or suggested that the Matildas are holding up Aussie football at the moment. Not too many people will disagree with you, Chris, but here he says they are our golden generation with so many in Europe. I agree. They are the modern day golden generation. Now, Robert Kasha, Rob, you can't keep a good man down. He does make a comment. Well done, Mile Jedinak, who announced his retirement today also. That's another big news, to be expected. But there was hope that maybe Jedinak might pull on the boost for MacArthur FC in next year's A-League. But obviously with so much uncertainty surrounding the game, both here in Australia and around the world, he probably felt it was the right time. But geez, he's been an absolute fantastic stalwart of the Socceroos over the last decade. And I guess, mate, he's a classic example of someone who's a late bloomer. He was one player who really, really struggled to make his mark in Europe, tried several times, came back to Australia, did a couple of stints in the A-League, and then went back and tried a second time and I think a third time before he finally succeeded. And Captain Ned Kelly, as he was often talked about, he was how he was described with his beard. He was an absolute fantastic servant of the green and gold for many, many years. So, Mile Jedinak, we salute you and for everything that you've done for Australian football, Craig.
Yeah, just looking at his playing career, he had 421 appearances, scored 39 goals. He had 165 appearances for Crystal Palace, most of them in the Championship and obviously the Premier League. 70 with Aston Villa, but he hasn't played for Villa since last season. But he's had 79 caps also for Australia between 2008 and 2018 with 20 goals. So he was always the one that steps up with the penalties, and a fantastic career. And I'm sure football will be very sad to see him not pulling on that green and gold for Australia anymore.
Absolutely, absolutely. Oh, hopefully one day, very, very soon, we'll be able to see the Socceroos and the Matildas in action. Now, Jackie Charlton passed away, the legendary Leeds United player and also the once great Republic of Ireland manager. He was certainly a larger-than-life figure, and unfortunately he passed away just a few days ago, hasn't he? Your memories of Jackie Charlton?
My memories of Jackie Charlton. I was obviously too young to remember the 1966 World Cup. You obviously were there, Tonci, so you remember it far more than I did. But
I was in my mummy's tummy.
My memories of Jack Charlton was with when he was with Ireland, and I suppose he rejuvenated, or if that's the right word, Irish football by bringing in non-Irish players to play for Ireland through grandparents or great-great-grandparents, and most of the team that I think played under Jack at Ireland weren't Irish. They had grandparents or some kind of relatives from many moons ago that had some kind of, they were potato pickers in Ireland at one stage and managed to get a passport for Ireland to play. But look, very very outgoing character, totally different to his brother, obviously Sir Bobby. Again, another great character in football that's been taken away with us, buddy, at 85 years old.
Great innings, that. Fantastic innings. Now, folks, we want to hear from you. Let's talk about anything you'd like to talk about. Give us a call on 0497 151 234. We've only had one caller tonight, even though we've had quite a fair bit to talk about. Brenton Ray from Lara. We thank you, Brenton. Always got lots and lots of information to tell us. And tonight, the Ray man certainly lived up to his end of the bargain. So, folks, give us a call. 0497 151 234. What would you like to talk about? Have you got an opinion about our big poll that we are currently running on the Football Out West Soccer News page? We'll go through that again. Should Football Victoria cancel all football activities in Victoria and concentrate on getting the structure ready for the 2021 season? 74%, last count, 74% said yes, they should cancel all football activities. 26% have said no. Some people have got varying opinions, but to say that majority of people are really, really over it is quite an understatement, Craig. But yeah, we'd love to hear from people out there what they are thinking. And we've already gone 67 minutes into this show, 68 minutes. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah,
Craig.
No, absolutely. And the other thing we want to hear from you guys is, do you want this show to continue on a Sunday evening? Obviously, with no football, we are looking at ways of making the show bigger and better every week, as we say every week. So, put us up there, put a comment on whether you want the show to continue. It is something that we're pretty passionate about doing, but we only want to do it if you guys want it, because otherwise there's no point in doing the show. But really keen on knowing whether you want to be part of it. We've got some ideas which I'm not sure whether we touch on it now, Tonci, or whether we leave it to later on. But we've got some ideas.
Yeah, well, we might leave that for Thursday's program. We do have some great ideas, and we will talk about that on Thursday's program, the Football Out West show. So this Thursday at 7 p.m, get your little bit of fix of football. There will be lots of information by then, no doubt. We probably have, according to Brenton, a little bit more information with regards to the 2020 season by possibly as early as tomorrow. Ahmed Idris once again puts a comment. Tonci, Craig, can you talk about the standalone leagues again? Teams interested, format, etc. Ahmed, I've got a better idea. Give us a call on 0497 151 234 and we'll talk about that, because I'm not too 100% certain what you want to talk about. But give us a call, Ahmed. 0497 151 234, and let's bring that up for conversation.
Yeah, also Rob Cashier, if he's still on, I can see he's commenting here. Rob, give us a call, give us a chat about the conversations that we had regarding your idea for keeping football going, certainly in the Geelong and Ballarat areas. Let's get some feedback on that and see whether that has any legs. But give us a call, guys. It'd be great to get you on the line.
Yeah, we've got the latest figures as far as our poll: 311 votes. And that's just been in the last two and a half hours. So quite an incredible, in the last 3 hours, mind you. That's fantastic. I think by the end of the 24-hour period, we're going to have a massive amount of votes. I reckon we might even hit 1,000 votes. 74% for, 26% against. Football Victoria cancelling all football activities in Victoria and concentrating on getting the structure ready. Now, folks, we've also got another poll happening on the Geelong Region Soccer Show that will have been released earlier tonight at around about 7 o'clock. And that poll, if I have got that up here, Steve Curtin, one of the co-hosts from that program, has... I'm not too sure if he's released that poll. Head over to the Geelong Region Soccer News Facebook page and take part in that particular poll as well. So, look, we're asking for a lot of questions. We're asking for Anthony Casa says, I'd like to see a segment once a fortnight on Celtic and the Scottish Premier League. Anthony, I've got a better idea. Give us a call on a Sunday on 0497 151 234. And let's bring up that conversation. Let's talk about that. I'm sure there are a lot of Scottish supporters out there that can give us a fair bit of news and information about what is happening, whether it be Celtic, whether it be Rangers, some of the behind-the-scenes stuff that is happening. And you see it on YouTube a fair bit, Craig. A lot of clubs now, just to keep, particularly when it was the lockdown, they'd have little interviews, little behind-the-scenes footage of, maybe the stadiums or maybe the clubs themselves, what was happening, and was always providing a little bit of an insight into what makes a club run. And actually, speaking of the Scottish League, I think what was the club that was doing a phenomenal job? It's one of the lower league clubs, and they had their own little series. If someone out there can enlighten me about that, it was like might have been the second division club out there. Only a small club, but they had a regular insightful or insight into the goings on of the club. So yeah, we'd definitely love to hear from people. But mate,
yeah, and I saw a good friend of mine and a player I coached many moons ago back in the UK. He's just signed an extension to his contract at Hibernian. So congratulations to Christian Doige. Had a fantastic first season at the club, and he's a player that will go on to bigger and better things. Again, we talked about it earlier on with Jedinek being a late developer, I think it was. Christian's definitely a late developer. Gave up football at 16 years old, got released from Bristol Rovers, took up basketball because he'd lost interest in football, then got into playing at my local club, and then got taken on to play in the League of Wales. Was there a season, got taken on by Dagenham and Redbridge. From there, he went off to Hibernian. So, and he's he'd be 29 now, I think. So he's a very, very late developer. But there's already talk of being in the next Wales squad. So if you are listening, Chrissy, congratulations on your new contract, mate, and well deserved.
Now, Josip Loncharic, we did mention him earlier, who heads or co-heads the Keilor Downs College Football Academy. Now, Josip says, why don't clubs and coaches use the extra time to map out club and age group specific training cycles for 2021 so that when the new season starts, people are better prepared to develop the future boys and girls? Very interesting point. I wonder how many clubs are actually doing that. And, Craig, a lot of clubs out there, they don't like terms such as academies. They don't like terms such as skill acquisition programs or SAP, because it conjures up vivid images of the national curriculum and clubs. There are clubs out there that hate the national curriculum. Why not create your own curriculum? Why not create your own structure? Why not create your own strategic vision? And I'd love to know how many clubs out there actually have used this lockdown period, either version 1 or version 2, to actually do all of these things that some of these people are talking about. Craig, your thoughts? Should clubs be now using this to their full advantage, or should they just give up and just shut up shop?
Look, I think again it goes back to the question you asked me earlier on about whether kids will lose out on not having any football. So I'm sure there's clubs out there that have got plans in place to continue training, certainly, and obviously in Geelong, Ballarat, Bendigo area. I've actually heard yesterday that Bendigo have actually pulled out of the NPL Juniors. So again, that's something for us to think about. But look, the progressive clubs that want to develop the kids will surely now be starting to plan on exactly what Josip said there, and I think it's a key point. There will be, like I said, there will be clubs out there. There'll also be a lot of clubs that just say no, we're shutting down, as we've seen over the last couple of weeks with a number of clubs that have pulled out. So planning's very important, guys. It's where is the club going to be in a year? Where's the club going to be in 3 years or 5 years? So as we said, Football Federation and Football Australia, we've talked about, are they planning for the future? It's the same for clubs. Are they planning for the future for themselves as well? So it's a great point from Josip. But we do have somebody on the line, Tonch.
Oh, I was about to say let's call it a night ourselves, but let's bring him on. Who have we got on the line?
Yeah, I think we have Daniel on the line. Daniel, good evening. Daniel? Bear with us. You're not there. Are you there?
It's not Daniel Andrews by any chance. Has Daniel got some inside information as to when we'll be able to resume the football season.
Daniel,
Mr.
are you there?
Hello, Dan.
No, looks as if Daniel's gone. We'll try and call him back in a second and try and get him on to see what he has to say.
Okay, that number again. If you want to be a part of tonight's show, look, we'll take one more caller. We'll take one caller. 0497 151 234. Yeah, it looks,
Let's see if we can get him back on. I'm not sure whether we can, but we'll have a go.
Here we go.
Daniel.
Craig.
Good evening. How are you?
Hello, Daniel.
Hey. It's Rob Casher.
It's Rob. Well, it's not Daniel then. Yep.
I don't know who Daniel is, Rob, but
Rob.
Good evening. How are you?
That's all right, buddy.
How are you, Rob? How are you, mate?
Good, mate. Good, mate.
Good. What do you have to say?
I was just talking about before with the mental stability of the players. They're working really, really hard. We've been training since November, and no football's in sight. So it's just, I think it's time to call it. Just give them some time off. Just think about 2021. You can just see in their heads mentally they're just burnt.
Yeah,
Rob,
and how are you dealing with that? With obviously with the girls down there, Rob, because it is difficult, mate.
You put on a brave face, and you always sit there and you're always positive, and you can just see in their eyes, are they starting to not believe you anymore? Do they think, is he just doing this to keep us going, and knowing that there's not going to be any football? If we could just get some clarity for the players, so that they know, no, we're not playing. Yes, we're playing, because you can see that they're really starting to lose interest. It's hard work, as you know. You work hard to be a footballer and prepare yourself for a season, and then you just keep getting setback, and it's hard to maintain their focus when we keep getting setbacks.
Who would you blame for that, Rob? Do you blame the Football Federation? Do you blame Danny Andrews, or is it something that nobody could blame anybody because it's never happened before? So where would I wouldn't say blame, but who would you put it on to have caused?
Yeah, they're unprecedented times, so it just keeps changing all the time. I'd be, I'm not really looking to blame anybody, but I think maybe it's time to call the season, especially the senior season, or considering I'm from a zone that's not that affected by the COVID at the moment, so much, maybe even let us play locally, because right now we can't even have contact with training. And our players need to play a game. So can we step down and play locally? And until the FFV call it, we're stuck in a Women's Premier League system that's not going to play. And if they call it in 10 weeks' time, well, we can't even play locally.
Now, Rob, there was talk down Geelong way that possibly a lot of the clubs that are competing in the Melbourne competitions would play in the local league, Galaxy included, playing in the local Division 1 competition. And as until the goalposts were changed, I think tomorrow was going to be the day when senior teams could go back to full contact training. But now, obviously, we've seen that that's all been changed as a result of the escalation of the COVID cases in Melbourne. How was the feeling? Was that feeling of amongst the girls leading up to, before the goalposts were changed? Were they really excited? Could they sort of see light at the end of the tunnel? And could you see the intensity at training just picking up a notch, ahead of the anticipation of resuming full contact training? Question one. Yeah. And question two, when the news came out during the week that, it was going to remain non-contact training, what did that do to the squad?
Yeah, well, to question one, the girls were extremely pumped. They had high intensity. They could see that we were going to play some kind of football, whether it be Women's Premier League or move to the local competition. The intensity was high because we had some sort of football to play, and on Tuesday night we had ourselves a little bit of a a non-contact, just basic jockeying, full intensity practice match, and you could see that the girls were really, really pumped, chomping at the bit, playing some really, really good football. And then the news came through for question 2 with us not now being able to tackle and going back. You could just see from their eyes, and you could just tell that that was a bit of a kick to the guts. So I've given them a week off, let them mentally recover, do whatever it is they need to do. Don't talk to me. Don't kick a football. Just do whatever it is you do, and then we'll reconnect the following Monday and go through our 3 sessions and prepare for some sort of football, whether it comes or not. That's why I think it's really important for the mental health of the players that they know whether, yes, they're playing or no, they're not playing.
Yeah, no, in terms of obviously a Geelong league as such, what's been the sort of feedback from clubs on that? Obviously, with this, I've just made some notes there. You've got North, you've got Geelong, you've got Barwon, you've got Surf Coast, Corio, Bell Park, Lara. I'm sure I've missed somebody off in there as well. But then you could also include, Sebastopol, your Ballarat Red Devils, your Ballarat Soccer Club. You could almost have a 10 to 12 league or team league there, even split it into 2 leagues. Top 4 get together in October, November time, and a grand final played wherever. Now, that could happen at senior level. It could happen at the reserves, but it could also happen at the junior level as well. The NPL my under 16s could go up and play under 18s, for instance. Under 14s could go and play under 15s or 16s. So at least give them some kind of football. Is that something that the clubs, from your perspective, would be interested in? And is it? And secondly to that, is it something that could happen, or is it just pie in the sky because somebody needs to admit to it?
Well, the feedback that I've had is there's a lot of people positive about it. They just want to play some kind of football. And my opinion, of course, it's my opinion. I'd love to see local derbies every week. I think there's great intensity from local derbies. And if we can play some sort of Geelong-based, Ballarat-based competition, I can only see a positive, especially for the mental psyche of the players, juniors and seniors. And I've also had a bit of a chat with another coach from the Ballarat region about the women's side of the game, and I know certainly they'd love to join our region and make some kind of division, because they're in the same boat we're in. Everybody wants to play, and we're not that affected by anything. But I did my little post that I had on the weekend. I had a lot of positive feedback about the what do you call it? We'll call it a Super League of Geelong or whatever, ever of the men's football. And I just think it'd be great to see someone like my Surf Coast boys come up against Corio and just see how they go. Even if Corio don't have their Melbourne boys, it's still good fun for them to play the fellas that they do have, and we can all just have a season of fun instead of trying to kill one another.
Yeah, and look, if you're doing it, as I say, an under-23 competition to really push the young players, you're not going to then. Well, there won't be any requirement to pay players, so there goes that cost out the window. But it also develops young players and gives those players an opportunity to play. Maybe not every team's going to want to play. Maybe, say, for example, and I'm just using Surf Coast as an example. Maybe Surf Coast don't want to play, but maybe Surf Coast players then can go on to play for Geelong or Barwon or Geelong Rangers or whatever the case may be. Now, speaking of Surf Coast, a big shout out to the president of Surf Coast, Steve Christou, who had a very, very unfortunate industrial accident during the week. We believe he's still in hospital recovering. Have you had any word on Steve? We wish him absolutely all the very best in his recovery. He was very, very lucky. But yeah, Rob, have you got any details on Steve?
Yeah, I've heard what happened to him and the accident that he had. I don't think it's my place to say anything about his personal life, but I just, wish him all the very best. He's a very good friend of mine. And when I heard of the accident that he'd had, I'll be honest with you, I actually did have a little bit of a teary, and I vomited a little bit because he's such a lovely bloke. And it's was quite a sad moment. I had a little bit of time to reflect on life when your mates get hurt in such a way. So
he is, and he is a top bloke. So best wishes to Steve and obviously the family at this stage, and hope you get well soon, mate. Because we need people like you around.
He's a really good man. Really good for the football club, and he's done so much for Surf Coast. So I really do wish him all the very best.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Just going back to the league a second, and then so playing the devil's advocate now, and it's great. We get football played in Geelong, we get a league. Everybody goes to the bother of setting up the league, getting it all sorted, and then all of a sudden something hits Geelong. We talked about the mental state of players. Could it be another case of we're getting people ready and then it's going to blow up in their face again? So going back to my original comment when I was first asked earlier on by Tonci about what my feelings are. As much as I'd love to see the league up and running and get football played down in Geelong, and of course my lad's down at Geelong, and it's he can't train at the moment along with four other boys that live in the Wyndham area. We'd still like to see football being played down that area, but of course it comes with its potential issues should anything go wrong.
Yeah. The only example that I have is I see like my daughter's working so hard and trying to get herself on the pitch, and to think that we go through all of this again and then it doesn't happen. So that's why I think just call it.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion, of course. The club may have a different opinion. The region may have a different opinion, but that's just my opinion. I'd call it.
Yep.
That's my view.
Yep. Yeah, interesting comments there. Mate, thank you very much for joining us. Appreciate that. And who knows, you never know. The suggestion, at least one thing, Rob, your suggestion has got people talking, and that's the most important thing. We definitely want people to start thinking outside the square. We've been saying all along, use this time now to start planning for the future. And if we now need to come up with some out of the box solutions, whether it be in the short term, whether it be in the long term, it can all be done. We've all got an opinion about the game, and one thing that we've all got a common denominator is we do want what is good for the game in some shape, way, or another, and that's the most important thing. But thank you very much for joining us. We hope to speak to you.
Thanks for ringing.
No worries.
Stay safe, bud. Speak to you soon.
Thanks, guys. All the very best.
Thanks, Rob.
All the best, Rob. Now we're going to finish up here, Craig. But I think, mate, I've got the solution to all of our problems. Now, hear me out. We need sport, don't we? We need something that's going to keep us socially distanced. I think that's another thing that we're talking about being very, very important. Well, I think I've got the idea.
This better be good.
Oh, this is not going to work out very well.
Bubble soccer. Maintaining social distancing. We can still have a competition happening. There you go. What do you think of that?
Brilliant. And if anybody hasn't done it, it's fantastic fun. But
looks like a whole lot of fun. I told you, start thinking outside the square. And on that,
there's a few players that'll probably come back looking like that, mate, if they don't have any football in the next couple of months.
They won't need to socially distance. On that note, thank you, Craig, for finally joining us tonight. It has been an absolute pleasure. And thank you to everyone that has joined us throughout the night tonight. We really, really do appreciate it. Make sure to tune in tomorrow night, 7 o'clock, for the Geelong Region Soccer Show. It's all about the juniors. We're going to be taking a look at the junior round that happened over the weekend. A lot of news that happened on the pitch, thankfully, so we'll be covering the juniors. We also hope to have a lot of footage and maybe even talk to a few junior coaches and maybe even players. And also, Craig, 7 o'clock Thursday night, the Football Out West show. We will have no doubt lots of information. We may even have a guest or two from some of the A-League clubs because the A-League season is set to restart. Not in Victoria, but in New South Wales. So a lot still happening. Do stay with us, guys.
Yep, absolutely, Tonch, and wish everybody stay safe over the next few weeks, and we'll catch up with you on Thursday.
Good night.
Night.